John Fisher, you pathetic, spineless coward. Once again, hiding behind the printed word. It couldn't end any way else besides this. So, let's take you behind the woodshed, shall we? Programming note before we get there. On Thursday, immediately following the final home game of the Oakland Coliseum, I will be live on YouTube doing an Oakland Forever show, talking about the history of the A's, talking to the fan base, and reflecting on what a ridiculous, absurd relocation this has all been. If you're walking out of the stadium or you just need somewhere to vent, this is the place. I'm taking your Zoom calls. That's right, we're open to the public and open for business. More details on this in the final 30 seconds of this video. So make sure you subscribe to this channel by clicking on this button below me for that notification. By now, you've likely read the letter penned from John Fisher to the Oakland A's fan base ahead of this final home game. And as you might imagine, it reads completely inauthentic, completely artificial, and essentially written by AI or the ghost of Dave Cavill, because I'm pretty sure neither he nor Fisher have souls left. To our Oakland Athletics fans, it starts, which is a weird way to start this letter to the fan base, considering you've ripped away all references to the city of Oakland, and next year it's just going to be the Athletics. And so starting with Oakland Athletics fans, and by the end of it trying to convince everybody you'll still be fans of us, right? Seems pretty hollow. You had to love the second sentence. And while the A's previously played in Philadelphia and Kansas City, Oakland has been home for the greatest era in the franchise's more than 123-year history. Essentially, you're trying to subtly remind everybody, hey, we've moved before. Thanks for the history lesson, but is this really significant here? I mean, when they moved from Philadelphia, it was the early 50s. And the most recent move was the late 60s. In 1967, their final year in Kansas City, the price of gas was 34 cents a gallon, and everybody smoked because doctors said it was healthy for you. I don't really think referencing those moves is reasonable right now. 4 World Series championships, 6 pennants, 17 division titles, 7 Hall of Famers, Charlie Finley, Billy Ball, Reggie, Raleigh, Dave Stewart, Holy Toledo, Ricky, the list goes on and on and on. You're not helping matters here. That's the point, John. The point is all of those beautiful, wonderful things that happened in Oakland with the A's. And what you've decided to do is take all of that magic, crumple it up like an old piece of loose leaf, and chuck it into the dustbin of history, ripping away a franchise that has all of those iconic moments from the city that experienced those. That's on you. Don't sit here and try to sell the fan base. Well, remember, we had some good days. Yeah, and all of those good days primarily were before you got your grubby little silver spoon, no job having, no business acumen having, no personal relations having, wealthy mommy and daddy having, insecure little brat that you are. Thanks, Ken Burns Light, for the walk down memory lane. The A's are part of the fabric of Oakland, the East Bay, and the entire Bay Area. Yeah, again, that's the point. When Lou Wolf and I bought the team in 2005, our dream was to win world championships and build a new ballpark in Oakland. I mean, this is rich. This is something else. Imagine buying a franchise 20 years ago and never, ever investing a dime in the team. Never extending star players, trading them all away when they were about to hit the open market, never signing any other free agents, and never investing in the team or the fan experience or the stadium itself, and then having the gall to say, our dream for 20 years was to win world championships. Funny way of showing it. You know, all of those really ambitious owners in professional sports that absolutely invest no money in the infrastructure of the organization, never spend any money on the roster itself, and actively wage war with the fans while trying to erase the entire franchise's history. You know, all of those guys that are desperately trying to win championships? John Fisher's one of them. Okay, we fast forward through a series of lies about trying to get a ballpark done at Howard Terminal. Only in 2021, after 16 years of working exclusively on developing a home in the Bay Area and faced with a binding MLB agreement to find a new home by 2024, did we begin to explore taking the team to Las Vegas. Well, this is definitely a cover-your-ass moment here by John Fisher of the A's. We didn't start thinking about moving the team until 2021, even though there's mounting evidence that we always had eyes on leaving the Bay Area and never negotiated in good faith with the leaders of Oakland. As though anybody is going to read that and believe this. That somehow all of this hard work and investment in staying in Oakland between 2005 and 2021 suddenly just came up snake eyes, and they had to turn their attention at that point to Las Vegas. Oh, give me a break. No matter what you believe the responsibility of government officials in the Bay Area has been throughout all of this, we can all agree the idea that John Fisher and his criminal syndicate had desperately worked so hard for 15 years to find a way to stay in the Bay Area is laughable. Either that or you're really bad at this. Imagine taking on a project and after 16 years of devoting your attention to it, you still came up with nothing. You'd be considered a failure. There are millions of dedicated and passionate A's fans in Oakland and around the world. Again, you're making our point for us, John. Because there are millions of Oakland A's fans, this was always a solution. This is still a solution. But what you did was you tried to Heisman those millions of fans. You actively tried to drive interest into the ground. This was orchestrated apathy because you're right. There are millions of devoted and passionate A's fans. I know. I've heard from many of them. I've met many of them. And it is obvious the mourning that is going on right now with a massive group of human beings. There's enough bodies to be in a ballpark in Oakland. There's enough wallets to spend money on a team in Oakland. There's enough dollars to make this thing work. Because you know what? There aren't millions of Las Vegas residents dying for the A's. And there isn't millions of Las Vegas residents dying for John Fisher. So excuse me if we call your bluff and say, if you really felt that way, none of this would be happening. Your math is poor. A shout out to Oakland Coliseum employees who have poured their hearts into this team, the community. I know you're disappointed. There's even bitterness. I wish I could speak to each of you with the way the A's have handled this relocation, with the lack of honoring the fans, with the turning their backs on the most dedicated of supporters, longtime employees, starting over in Sacramento for God knows how long, and not taking these people with you. You're really going to try to convince us that you have all this gratitude for those longtime employees and the community of Oakland? What a disgusting lie. And finally, the criminal conman coup de grace. I wish I could speak to each one of you individually. I can tell you this from the heart. We tried. I just want to get this straight. You wish you could speak to each one of the A's fans who you've broken their hearts individually. And yet, for 20 years of owning this baseball team, you have never given a public interview. You've never held a press conference. You've never taken unfiltered Q&A. You've never addressed the fans. And yet, you'd like to speak to each one individually? There was 20 years for that, John. Where was it? And where is it now? All you've done yet again is hide behind a computer-generated / lackey scripted lie of a final statement. Hey, Rob Manfred and the other 29 owners of Major League Baseball, you let this happen. He's a crook. He's a thief. He's a con man. He's a liar, and he's soulless. This memo embarrassing, and thus unsurprising. I wish I could be out there for the final game of the Coliseum. Unfortunately, work logistics prevents me from doing that. It'd be really hard to do my radio show on Sirius XM Channel 82 at 3 o'clock in the morning on Thursday morning and Friday morning, with also traveling from New York to Oakland and back, getting the studio set up, the manpower set up. You get it. But I'm right here with you guys for the final game. I'm opening up this microphone the moment the final out is recorded, maybe a little bit earlier. And I want to hear from all of you. And I want to hear your stories. And I want to hear your venting. And I just want to be a sounding board for A's fans. So for Thursday, make sure you are subscribed to the channel by clicking on this button right next to me. That way you'll be notified when we go live and we hear from A's fans in unison. I'm going to stay on the air as long as you guys will have me. And I will truly let it rip. As always, A's fans, keep your chin up. The fight is never over. I'm DA, Damon Amendolara. Thanks for watching, everybody.